Okay, in this demo we use dbt to load bulk and incremental data into hudi tables, which are using S3 as an underlying storage. dbt uses glue to execute the jobs, and it uses dbt glue adapter for that. Once the tables are created, hudi tables are created, these are registered with the glue catalog on their own, right? So we don't have to do anything in here, and these can then be queried using Amazon Athena. So let's look at the source data first, right? So the whole source table is a hudi test, right? So there is a JSON file which is already uh, uh, populated in this one, right? So this is an external table sitting on that on JSON data. So if I just query this, right? So there are total 100 records in there, but and ID is the primary key. But you see there are some duplicates in here, right? So 1, 2, and there are some more as well. So ID is the primary key that we use in hudi, and then another important column is the event time, right? So this is the column that we use to identify the delta when we upload the incremental data, right? Now other thing that I have done here is the pin code field that you see. All the pin codes in the original data, the source data, or you can say the bulk data, will start with the 1. When we use the incremental load, all the pin codes will start with 2, right? So there are 10 rows in the incremental data that will store, and this one has 100. So let's go and look at the code. And there are 3 dbt models that will create. One is default, hudi test default, right? Now the thing with the glue adapter is that now the uniqueness of the hudi is that if you once you specify the primary key, right? So once you identify the primary key, it should deduplicate them while loading, right? But since there are some fields which are hard coded in the glue adapter, and due to which the bulk insert does not handle the duplicates, right? So if your source has 100 records with duplicates, your hudi table, which in this case will be hudi dash default, will have 100 records with duplicates, right? Now there is a way to specify the options. So there is a small change which is done in the glue adapter to handle this. Now you can specify the hudi options to handle the duplicates. So this table, which is unique with options, this will filter out all the duplicate sites even with the bulk insert. So we'll see that. And this last one is the manual exclusion of the duplicates, right? So there's a standard SQL that I've written to filter out the duplicates while loading the data itself. Okay, so once this code has run, we will see that hudi dash default will have 100 records, whereas options and this query one will have less than that, excluding the duplicates. So I'll pause the video and let this complete. Alright, so the job has completed, so we can look at the tables. Right, so these tables are created here, right? So hudi dash default and with options and with query. I'll explain about this table later on. Right, so let's go ahead and query, right? So hudi dash default, if you run this, right, so you get 100 records here. But if you go with the options, where we actually specified the option to filter out the duplicates, we see 66 records. And the other one is the validation, right? So where we have written our own query to filter out the duplicates, and we see 66, right? Now I'll just go ahead and explain why we have 100 records in the default and why we have 66 in with the options. Now the way hudi works is there are three fields actually which are important, right, for hudi to filter out the duplicates. One is the unique key id, which tells which id is the primary key. Another is you have to tell it whether you want to handle the duplicates during the bulk insert, right, during the batch load. Now this option is false by default, and and that's why we have to specify as option to override this option to true, right, in this case. Now if you are using a default glue adapter without making any modifications, you cannot specify this actually. Now another very important field is this pre-combined field. Now a pre-combined field is what tells hudi how to handle the duplicates. Now let's say for ID 1 you get 2 records. Now which one to choose depends on the value of event time. Right, this is a column in our table. So when we specify pre-combined field, it means the max value for that event time will decide which row is selected and the others are discarded. Right, so in this case event time is when the record was generated, so effectively I'm saying the latest record will take precedence over anything else if it is in the same batch, right. So that's how the records are filtered out. So now we'll move ahead with the next use case where we'll try to upload the incremental data into these tables, right. Now one of the things that you don't have to really worry about after this is the upserts by any incremental load by default will handle the upsets properly, right. So if the row is there, it will be updated. If it is not there, it will be created, right. So now you don't have to worry about the duplicates anymore with the upsets, and we'll see that uh, in the run, right. So let me go and upload a file. All right, and I'll show you what this file has, right. So almost a similar format but lesser number of records, but one thing you will notice is that the pin code in this one is all starting with the 2, right. So we should be able to filter these out and see what uh, records are created, right. So, and I'll just, since the file is uploaded, I'll just go ahead and run it. So I'll pause the video and let this run. Alright, so this run has completed. We'll go and have a look at the data. Right, so this is the first one where we have 100 records. Yep, so we have 105. There were 10 records which were loaded, but there are 5 extras. Effectively means there were the 5 records which are, there were 5 records which are updated and 5 are new ones. So that means in our other tables we should have 5 extra record, which is 66 plus 5, which should be 71. Right, so there are 71 records in here, and we can look at the with query also. This is the manual one. We have 71 records, and what we can do is since the pin code is an integer, I have to use this how many records we have greater than 2 lakh, right. So we have these records, 9 records in total, right. So these are all the pin codes with number 2, right. So these are the records which are updated. 5 are new, 4 are updated, right? So that's how hudi handles the bulk and the delta loads.